What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another video. This one is going to be okay, so this is a little late. I actually recorded this video a couple of weeks ago the first time. So forgive me also because it has been a few weeks since I watched The Long Halloween Part 1, which is obviously what this video is about. This is a review of that animated film. And yeah, so I recorded this video a few weeks after I watched the movie for the first time. And admittedly, so the thing that happened with that video is I liked it, but also I forgot to mention a couple things, and then watching it back, I was like, I could do it better. And so I decided to just not post that one. And I was like, I'll go back and I'll re-record it. I'll do a new one. So this is that new one. So it's a little bit late. I apologize for that. But yeah, so The Long Halloween, Batman, The Long Halloween Part 1, the animated film, released a few weeks ago, probably about a month ago at this point now, honestly, because even whenever I watched it and recorded that video, I was still like a week or two late from release. But so the movie came out, and it's solid. I have to say that my previous recording on this, I probably was more upbeat and positive about the movie than I'm going to be in this one. But yeah, I mean, it's enjoyable. I think that the main thing that I stressed in that recording, and that I'm going to stress here again, is that it is very much a based on and not a one-to-one adaptation of The Long Halloween. So if you've read the book and you're looking for this to be like the Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2 movies were for that book, you will be disappointed. This is not a one-to-one adaptation of The Long Halloween. That's not what they were going for here, and that's okay. I think that it's one of those things where, like, and I've tried to be better about this myself, where you go into something, especially an adaptation, and like I try and really judge what we have based on what it is and not what I wanted it to be. Of course, I would love a one-to-one adaptation of The Long Halloween, and that would have been so cool to see, but that's not what they were going for, and that's not what this is, and that's okay. And I think that's a con and a pro sort of for this movie, because watching it, I of course have read The Long Halloween, but watching this, there was a couple things where I was like, oh, okay, that's different, that's interesting, and so it gives you that edge of freshness, which I do like, and I always am very much in the camp of adaptations can be different than the source material. That's the whole point of them being an adaptation. And so this movie does keep the heart of The Long Halloween. Obviously, it is the same general story. You have the holiday killer going around, but the big difference, I guess, that kind of was the biggest hurdle for me to get over is the animation. The animation is great. It's very solid. I like the animation style. I love a lot, actually. It's a lot better than the previous DC AMU animated movie styles. It looks fantastic. I love the way this movie looks. I love the way that Gotham is presented. There's a ton of noir shots and things like that I just hit me right in the heart. Love it a lot. That said, for The Long Halloween, like, what makes The Long Halloween to me is Tim Sale's art. It's not the writing. The writing is great. It is a renowned Batman classic for a reason, but Tim Sale's art for me is that reason. That art is incredible. It's what I think of when I think of The Long Halloween. And I would have loved for them to lean into that more and try to do that more in the animation they did here, but they didn't, and that's okay. I don't know what the logistics or who made that decision or whatever went into that. I'm sure there was a ton of thought. I'm sure they probably did think about trying to go for the more Tim Sale-esque animation style. I can't imagine that would be easy to do animated. I don't know, though. I'm not an animator. I'm not an artist. I have no idea. It's just something that I would have liked the animation to be closer to Tim Sale's original artwork. Even just little things like Catwoman's costume in this is black. In The Long Halloween, it's purple. Like, you really couldn't have made it purple, you know? Just little things like that. But that said, as I was saying, the animation is still very solid. It's very enjoyable. The voice cast does a great job. We have Jensen Ackles as Batman. We have Naya Riviera, I believe is her name, who she voiced Catwoman. This was before her unfortunate passing. And she does a fantastic job as both Selena Kyle and Catwoman. I can't remember the rest of the cast, honestly, but they'll do a very good job in their respective roles. And yeah, like I said, it's very much based upon, I think that the people who will enjoy this movie the most are people who have not read The Long Halloween. Like, if you go into this not having read that, you'll of course have this like mystery because you don't know what the ending in the book and how the mystery goes in the book is, obviously. And so you get that, and I think the people that haven't seen or haven't read the book and then watch this will be like, wow, and then they'll get to go to read the book and they'll get a slightly different experience with the book too. I feel like that's the best of both worlds that you can get for this. For me, having already read the book and then going to watch this, I still think it was a pretty enjoyable experience overall. It's a fun movie to watch. It's a pretty good time. It's like a little under an hour and a half, if not an hour and a half, like on the dot, I think. So it's not like too long, and it's obviously a part 1, so this is not the full story. and it definitely does set up a lot of things. But there were a couple things that I think were a little bit too on the nose. Like, it's too, to me anyways, it's too obvious that Harvey is destined to be Two-Face and has these problems. I like whenever adaptations or incarnations like put in the fact that Harvey does have these mental problems and is on edge, but like there's a really subtle line that you have to walk there. And I think that in parts of this film, it goes a little bit too far over that. Like, this is obvious that he's going to be Two-Face type thing. So it's just little things like that. And also, I'm very, very interested to see if they do change the ending to The Long Halloween for part 2 of this, because of some of the direction that this mystery has gone and some of the reveals that they've given, and also the reveals that they've given in the time frame that they've given them is a lot different than the novel as well. And so I'm very, very interested to see how that changes and kind of morphs and goes into part 2. One thing, and this is the big thing that I forgot to mention in my original review that does actually bother me quite a bit, is they make Batman kind of inept in this. Like, he's kind of a fucking idiot, not gonna lie. There's one scene where he's chasing Catwoman across rooftops, and he like can't jump from one roof to the other. Like, he literally has to like stop and then like go and run and jump again. Whenever he gets on it, he just like tumbles. And I love the line from Catwoman where she says, "Your equipment is weighing you down." That is a great line in Singularity. Like, she's like, "Oh, you're wearing too much shit. Of course it's going to be hard for you." And like, that's cool from that angle. And I like that commentary. But at the same time, when you go to think about it, you're like, okay, well, why has Batman not thought about that? And also, how's Batman, like, he's trained, what, 20 years to do this, right? To be Batman? How is he not figured out, or how is he not capable of carrying the equipment that he wants to and needs to, and also still be able to leap across 3 rooftops consecutively without being completely out of breath? Like, that's not Batman to me. If you can't, like, I totally understand, like, being in the early days of your career, obviously, and like not have, like, still figuring shit out, but like, it just was dumb. And then also the biggest problem that I have with this movie, this is a slight spoiler, I guess. There's a scene in the Batcave whenever Batman is, trying to piece this mystery together and trying to figure it out and being a detective. And he's literally talking to Alfred, and he's like, "I never planned on having to be a detective." What the fuck do you mean, Batman? You're the world's greatest detective. That is my favorite tag. Like, that is my favorite name for Batman, is the world's greatest detective. The fuck do you mean you never planned on being a detective? Like, you literally trained with Ducard and a couple other people specifically to be a world-class detective. And you're telling me that you never, like, that this Batman didn't ever plan. I hate that a lot, as you can tell. That pissed me off. I can't believe that went through, like, that one was put on the page and then went through however many people it had to go through, and then was recorded and also put into the final cut of this movie. I don't understand that. Like, you could just take that line out and it would be fine. Like, that blew my mind and genuinely pissed me off, because like, one of the core parts of Batman is him being a detective and him being like, "Oh shit, this is too difficult. I didn't plan on having to solve mysteries." What? You just planned on beating people up? That was it? Like, that, it makes me so angry. So yeah, I really hated that part of it. That's probably my biggest gripe with the movie. But aside from that, and that's kind of a nitpick, because like, it is a line that's just kind of like thrown away, but to me that's like very antithetical to who Batman is. And so I feel like that definitely does not belong here. And like, the reason The Long Halloween is such a hard case for Batman to solve, it's just because it's a hard fucking mystery to solve. He doesn't have to not be a detective in order to have a problem with this. Detectives don't solve everything instantly. Like, you need evidence, you need to go through it, you need to run through the case. Like, you don't have to have him being like, "Oh, I wasn't planning on doing this," in order to still have that conflict about the mystery being difficult to solve. So it's just confusing to me that that's the route they decided to take with that. But that said, yeah, most of the movie's enjoyable. The action's really cool. As I was saying, the shots are great. The animation I like. The voice cast is great. I do appreciate the changes from the source material that they've done. Yeah, I think that's basically everything for part 1 of this that I can think of. As I said, it's enjoyable. I think it's definitely worth a watch. I would recommend renting it before buying it if you have read The Long Halloween. If you haven't read The Long Halloween, you could probably buy it and it'd be a pretty safe purchase. If you have read the book, though, I'd recommend renting. And then if you enjoy it, of course, buy it later so you can have it then. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth a watch, at least to, you know, kind of form your own opinion on it, see what you like. I know there's a ton of people that have absolutely loved it, which is awesome. And then I know there's a lot of people, actually, I haven't seen that many people that really didn't like it, which is good. As overall, I would say it's a more positive than negative experience for me. There's just a couple things that obviously grind my gears a little bit, but that said, very enjoyable. Can't wait for part two. I don't even know when part two is coming out. I feel like a couple weeks from now, maybe a month. We'll see. But yeah, those are my thoughts, my review on Batman The Long Halloween Part 1, the animated movie. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like down below. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and turning that notification bell on. Really helps me out and I really appreciate it. If you haven't, of course, be sure to follow me on Twitter at APBatman is my personal Twitter, and at Batman Files is my Batman account where I post all my Batman stuff. Those will both be linked down in the description below. Be sure to go follow those, check those out. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to tune in to the next one. Later.